Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today we're going to get back on the Yamaha YL2C Trailmaster 100. We're going to do the minimum stroke adjustment on the oil pump and the cable adjustment. These are all pretty static adjustments that need to be done. We'll go over it again once the machine is running, but right now we just want to make sure that everything is set up somewhere close, and there's a point where you adjust the idle, and we won't be able to do that because this is not ready to run yet. But we're just going to go by what it's set at right now, and the main part is getting the minimum adjustment on the pump. So let's dive in here and see if we can get this taken care of. Okay, got a couple things here we need to take a look at. We'll be dealing with this whole area right here. It makes it kind of convenient because it's all right here in one area. But we're going to be adjusting the cables, throttle cable, oil cable, and an adjustment on the pump. And in doing that, we've got to make a certain adjustment on the carburetor also. And one thing I need to point out, actually a couple things. Right up in here, you see this little, looks like a zero, or it's actually engraved into the slide, and you can see it moves up and down. And then right here, we've got a mark on the oil pump and a pin, and those will be things that we need to look at here shortly. And another adjustment that we have is right here between the pulley and the plate. There will be a gap here, or should be a gap. Okay, there's not much of a gap there. Okay, so let's start at the beginning and see what see where we end up on this. Okay, the first thing they want you to do is to make sure that the grip is closed. Otherwise, this is wide open, this is closed. Make sure it's completely closed, no gas. Then what they want you to do is to see if a 0.25 millimeter feeler gauge will go in there, and it will not. Actually, let me back up just a little bit. On the bottom here, okay, right here, you see an arrow on this little wheel. You see arrow, and it's pointing the way that I'm moving this. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to know where that is and which direction to turn it. Okay, now let me get you back up here. Okay, we're going to turn. Having a heck of a time keeping light. Okay, I'm going to turn this wheel until the gap right here between the pulley and the plate is the widest. Right there. That's the widest. And it ain't very wide. Okay, and at that point, They're wanting you to see if a .25 millimeter feeler gauge will go in there, and it will not. Now you also take note that there is a wider area right back here. Okay, and it would certainly go in there, but that's not where you check. You're checking right here. It's kind of a little uptick right here. So that between this part of the pulley and the plate. And like I say, a .25 millimeter will not go in there. Okay, so what do we do? Okay, we're gonna remove the plate, and to do that, you're gonna need a 9 millimeter on this one, and you're gonna remove the nut. And what I do is I take a magnet, put up here, just so I don't lose those parts. See there? Okay, and then you see that there's a couple of washers. You've got a wavy washer right there on top. And then there's another one. It's stuck to the plate. We're going to remove the plate too. Okay, this one here is just a flat washer, very thin, and this is the plate. And you can see when I pull this plate off that right here, the shiny area, that's where this has been moving. And that's the distance that we're measuring right there. Okay, it tells us to go ahead and take a 1 millimeter shim, or a .1 millimeter shim, and put in there. But before we do that, let's pull the one that's in there out, or combination thereof, and see what we have. Okay, that's one shim. There's only one there. Let's see what we have. Okay, 0.77 millimeter is our starting point. Now I was just, when we first did our measurement and couldn't get the 0.25 millimeter feeler gauge in there, it's quite a bit less. And if you remember, we had a stuck ring in the cylinder. I think there wasn't enough lubrication there, and this may be the problem. It may be the problem. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is they tell me to put a 0.1 millimeter shim in there, and I can tell you right now that that's not going to be enough. So I'm going to go to a 2. And just from experience, okay, I've got a 0.23, and that's what I'm going to add to it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put our other one back in. That's the 0.77 or 79, whatever it is. Okay, that one goes back in, and on top of that, I'm going to put a 0.2. Okay, then we need to put our plate back in. Oops, almost put it in upside down. This is real tight here. If you can't get in to do all this, you can loosen the carb back here and just kind of tilt it a little bit. Okay, back in with the little flat washer and our little wavy washer. And then see if we can get our nut back on. And go ahead and snug it up. Doesn't have to be terrible tight, just snug. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing again. Go to the widest point, and again we've got a 0.25 millimeter. Will it go? Yes, it will. Now it gives you that as a go and a 0.35 as a no-go. Let me get it out here. Okay. I don't have a 35, I've got a 0.36, so that should not go. And it does not. The 25 goes, and it's got a slight drag. 35, 36 in this case, no go. Now let me find something just a little smaller. Let's try like a 33. Okay, got a 33 here, and that will not go. So it's somewhere between 0.25 and 0.33. So we are within our tolerance right there. So this adjustment at this point is good. Okay. Again on this one, when this engine is not ready to run at this point, but what they want you to do next is to set your idle, and you would do that with this screw right here. We're just going to leave it where it is and press on. And when we get all done with all this and everything's running, then we're going to come back and we'll do this adjustment again. But at this point, they want you to make sure or get your idle right. Then you're going to do the next procedure. And at this point, you're going to check for free play in the cable right here. But what we're going to do is we're going to slide this up. You see the little 0 there in the middle. You slide it up with the throttle until the top of the 0 is touching the top of the bore of the carburetor. Oh, wait a minute. I'm a little ahead of myself here. Let me back up just a minute. Okay, our slack. Okay, at this point you want 1 to 2 millimeters. Okay, there's 2.09. I'm just going to set this up here, kind of even with the top of the ferrule on the cable. And see, it moves it about halfway. So we're about 1 millimeter, and that's good. The tolerance is 1 to 2 millimeters. Now, let's get back down to the carburetor slide. Okay, again, we reach up, we grab the throttle, and we bring so that the top of the 0 on the slide is touching the top of the bore on the carburetor. Now at this point, you look right here. You've got this mark on the pulley. Remember I showed you that at the first. And you've got this pin. You want to line those two up. And in order to do that, you've got to hold on to your throttle to keep it in the same place. You're going to loosen this and you're going to see it starting to move. You adjust that until the two line up. Okay, I think that's about it. Oop, a little more. Okay, good. Then set your jam nut. Make sure everything is we're still in the right spot there. The zero, top of the zero on the slide touches the top of the bore of the carburetor. And the pin and the alignment mark are in line. So that's good. So at this point, our adjustment's correct. I just want you to note, these are, anytime I can find an old pump or anytime I adjust one, I keep the shims. So I've got several here. I've got some that I've made from aluminum. You want to make sure that you have some of these if you're making these adjustments, because it's going to be real difficult to find those little thin shims. So I just keep them in a little bottle that some of them came in way back when. So I guess maybe what I could tell you, if you want to make shims, the OD is about 10 millimeters and the ID is about 6, and then whatever thickness. Okay, so we're in pretty good shape for that at this point. But now what you need to note here is that you see the air lines, you see a little oil right here. These need to be purged now. You need to try to get the air out and get them full of oil. And you know, we had all this apart, so the first thing we want to do is loosen up the bleed screw here. So I'm just going to reach in there and loosen that up and get me a little paper towel here because we're going to lose some. Okay, gravity's bringing it down. I see it moving through the line. Should come out here in a minute. There it is. See the air coming out? When we get a solid stream, should quit that blurbling. Okay, I think, oh, there we go. Another one there. Okay. It's still doing it a little bit. All right, let's plug it off. There might be a little left in there, but that's, my rag's getting full. I'm going to take some more. Let me, okay. I got a little container down here. I'm going to let it run a little bit more and make sure the air is out. I just didn't think it was going to take that much. It's probably done now. Oh, there's a little air yet. Okay, I think we're good. Should have just brought a container instead of a rag. Kind of like the old adage of don't take a knife to a gunfight, you know. All right, so we're bled from the tank through the line to the pump. Now we need to get the air out of the pump or out of the line. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the pump completely wide open. You can do it with the throttle, and then we're going to turn this down here in the direction of the arrow. Should start seeing that oil pump up in there pretty soon. I see it, what was here, moving on up. There it is, see? Starting to fill the line now. Still a few air bubbles in it, looks like. The line's full and it's all the way to the back, but we'll give it a little bit more just to fill what we can't see and give it a little shot of oil in the back or in the cylinder there. And you see how far this is opening now. That's your pump stroke at wide open throttle. Okay, we're going to call that good. I'm going to come back one more time, and after doing that, and check that for that minimum stroke again. Let's see, 0.25. Yeah, and it's got a slight drag, so it's a good 0.25. Now, when we get this running, everything should be okay for just right in here. But when we go, before we go to the part where we raise this up and check the alignment with the dowel pin here and the alignment on the pulley, we're going to adjust to idle right here. So you'll adjust your idle, and now this is going to change some over a little bit of time because remember we've got new rings in here, so it's going to be a little tight at first. So as those rings loosen up, then idle speed will come up, so you'll have to adjust it back down. The idea here is to get your idle adjustment the way you want it, then adjust your cable free play and your alignment here. But we should be right on the pump stroke. But it's not going to hurt anything after everything's settled down and you give it a little time to break in, to go back and do that whole procedure again. Okay guys, there you have it. The oil pump adjustment, and like I said, we'll when we get this thing running at an idle, then we'll go back through this entire procedure just to make sure that we're right. And you know, who knows, it might be just smoking like a banshee or something, so we'll have to do something anyway. But we're going to give it some time before we do any other adjustment, because you need to make sure that you've got oil burn out of the pipe and all that stuff. So anyhow, we've done the cable adjustment and the oil pump stroke adjustment. So also keep in mind that this is different than it will be on like the Enduros. It's different, but the same. The specs are going to be different. Pretty much the procedure is the same, except you don't have the little circle gizmo on the slide. But it goes through the whole thing, but just don't try to apply this to that. That's what I'm getting at. So hey, thanks for going along on the ride, and we'll see you next video.